A very good morning to all you wonderful viewers of Universal Mentors Association. This is again the new chapter of the Digital Education Summit and Awards uh, that we are bringing out to you. This is the second edition of DESA, Digital Education Summit and Awards, and we have some prominent personalities throughout the next 3 days which are going to witness some amazing sessions talking about digital education impacts and the various nitty-gritties of coming back to school. Hopefully this time we're coming back at at a complete pace. There is not a single hopefully there is not a single section of you know of education that is being left out, right from nursery to PG. Everybody is coming back to school and universities. So throughout these 3 days, we'll be talking about what has changed and the difficulties, how the education institutions will go ahead and uh, become normal again. What are the protocols? What needs to be done? You know, Shaping up of careers. So on day one, we'll be talking about the school perspective. Day two, we'll be talking about the higher education perspective. The day three is a special package where we are talking with the career counselors from various schools across the country, and are trying to understand that their role in shaping the future of students in terms of career. Because in real perspective, the career counselors are the one who's guiding the students on which career path to choose, amongst so many options that are now available in the 21st century with the students. So with this, without further ado, we would like to start off with the inaugural. My name is Sandeep Gulati. I'm the founder of Universal Mentors Association, and it is always a privilege, always an honor to welcome our first speaker of the day. He is also the chief guest of the Digital Education Summit and Awards. I would like to welcome Shri Naveen Mittalji, who's the Commissioner of Collegiate Education and Technical Education at the Government of Telangana. He's done some tremendous work, and I'm sure all of you would have seen Naveen sir participating in so many events showcasing the key transformational things that he has done, especially with the higher education segment in the state of Telangana. I was lucky enough to witness it firsthand by working with him there for a couple of events, and it has been a true blessing to have Naveen sir join us and guide us through our Digital Education Summit and Awards. Sir, welcome to other panel, and it's an honor to have you here. I would not take another second, and have you share your views on the digital education and how the future of education lies with us, with the Telangana perspective, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep, and a very good morning to all the participants and viewers. First of all, I must congratulate Universal Mentors Association for organizing this. This is the second edition of the Digital Education Summit and Awards, and I had the fortune of also participating in the first one also. And I can say that the quality of the program which is organized is really remarkable, and I'm sure that this particular edition of the Digital Education Summit and Awards will be a very interesting event. Now that we are 2 years into the pandemic, and we see now a ray of hope in terms of maybe finally conquering the pandemic and hopefully having no more phases, especially in India. With these few words, I would say that digital education has arrived, like it or not. Digital education has arrived, and digital education is the future. And I think what is imperative is now, how do we leverage the digital education in terms of reaching the outcomes which we expect to have, both on the educational institutional front as well as on the student front. And I think these last 2 years have given us enough of experience in terms of what is working and what is not working. And I think with this 2 years of experience in mind, we have to have a roadmap of how to move forward in the future. And one of the things is that it is now being universally acknowledged that the best way to move forward is in a hybrid way, because neither the complete digital way of teaching is helping, especially the school students, and maybe also the students who are in the higher educational institutions. And apart from this, we the even the completely physical mode is also not something which is helping us to achieve the outcomes which we desire to have. So it has to be a combination of the two, where we leverage both the digital part of it as well as the physical part of it, because there are some inherent advantages of physical also, in terms of, we've been missing that in the past 2 years, in the sense that learning is not just a one-way process from teacher to student, but learning is also a multi-pronged process, in terms that the teacher also learns from the students in terms of how they are understanding, how they're shaping up. And also students learn from each other, in the sense it's also peer-to-peer learning platform which is available in our physical spaces in our higher education institutions. So you not just learn various topics, but you also learn a lot of social skills, which is something I think the students have been missing during this pandemic. And there's been a real cause of concern, both for the academia as well as for the parents also. That is, the students are not going out of their houses, simply staying in the house in front of the screens. They are missing this rich interaction, which is what is making us the kind of human beings which we want to be, or which we want our next generation to be. And I think with this, I would say that now the task before us is, how do we have this mix of the two in a way that gives us the best possible outcomes. And for that, I would want to say that the advantage of digital education is that it is something which can be very, very personalized. You can address the personalized needs of a student at the time of their choosing, at the pace of their choosing, and at the location of their choosing. We have all been through the classroom environment, and we most of us would have experienced that the pace of the teacher is designed for an average student in a classroom. So both the fast learners as well as the slow learners are frustrated. The fast learners are frustrated with the slow pace of teaching in the classroom, and the slow learners are frustrated because they are not able to keep pace with it. And if you can have a digital mode which addresses this need, and classrooms become more of a place of discussion rather than just simply information sharing, we're going to have the best of the two worlds. So that is something which we have to acknowledge, and find this fine tune between the blend of the two. So that is one. Two, I think digital platforms also allow us to have very powerful tools for assessment of the students. One of the fundamental issues in our education system has been that most of our education is designed for the final exams. That is, in terms of rote learning, you learn something, or you go through the entire process for the entire year, or maybe a semester in some of the higher education institutions, and then it is followed by a big bang approach. And my experience with most colleges and universities is that they still follow 80-20, 80 for the final exam, just 20 for the assessments. Of course, in the schools, both the CBSE as well as ICSE, they have tried to move into more of continuous and comprehensive assessments. But I think digital platforms allow us to go much more beyond in terms of giving us real-time understanding of where the students are, and what is required to be worked upon to help them learn better. And in this regard, I must also point out a very, very interesting phrase which NEP uses. That is assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment of learning. That is what is it that the students have learned. So you assess that for that. And assessment for learning is that you try to understand where the weak points are, and then help to get a roadmap. And assessment as learning, that is that assessment can also be a tool of learning, in the sense, no, let's say students are made to do a project. Through that project, so the student learn. So very, very interesting phrase: assessment of learning, assessment for learning, and assessment as learning. And I think digital tools can really help to integrate assessments very, very powerfully into the curriculums. Uh, Going forward, I would also like to say that today there is multiplicity of content which is available, and I think a lot of effort now needs to be done towards curating this content which is available. Uh, it is something very similar to the rich availability of books you have. If you go to a library, you will have thousands of books or hundreds of books on a particular subject. And I think the way we prescribe or go through the various books and prescribe what are the good reference books for the students, I think time has come also in terms of institutions spending a lot of time and energy on curating the content. And curating is different from creating it. There's already huge amount of content which is created. And I think energy has to now be spent on curating the content and giving the best flavor of it to the students, so that they don't waste their time and energy in running after poor quality content. And that would be, I would say, very, very effective. And the role of educational institutions have to transform into that. And finally, I want to also point out the fact that, especially, and this is especially true for the higher education institutions, I think the focus of higher education institutions have also to shift from this big bang approach before getting a job, to now move into centers for lifelong learning. And I think this is going to be increasingly be more and more important, wherein students are equipped with certain basic skills before they enter in the job, and then they are richly integrated into the educational system along with the jobs for continuous learning and for lifelong learning. We've seen that, especially on the online platforms, this concept of micro degrees has become very popular. And I think that is one increasingly important way of moving forward. NEP has taken the right step in terms of multiple entries and multiple exits. That is, you exit out of the program in 1 year with a certificate, 2 years with a diploma, and 3 years with a degree, and 4 years with a professional degree or a degree by research. And that's, I would say, a very, very remarkable step forward. I mean, puts us right at the top of some of the best academic systems across the world. But in order to implement it, I think that the design of the curriculum also has to change, because most of our design is progressive, in the sense you teach in the first year what is required to be done in the second year, and it is not designed for an exit. And I think a lot of energy has to be spent on our curriculum design, so that there is a meaningful takeaway for the students when they exit at a particular year. And I think in Telangana, we are doing a lot of work on it as to how do we redesign our curriculum in order to suit this requirement. Finally, I would not take more time. I must say that the future is very exciting. It is very interesting. We have, I would say, as a system, we have overcome this pandemic, I would say, with minimum amount of damage possible, in terms of, because we had this ability to shift to online. Of course, there is a huge spectrum of population which has missed it. But I think I say that as a country, as a system, we have been able to emerge out of it with the least possible damage. And I think we should build upon this learnings of these last 2 years to effectively design our educational system to suit the needs for the future. With these few words, I hand over back to you, Sandeep, and I'm
Thank you
sure
so
that
much,
you
sir.
have a
We have
wonderful.
one amazing question now, and this is absolutely in sync with what you've been saying. So the question goes: now that the digital university is now part of the budget as well as the national education policy, how is Telangana as a state looking at digital colleges and courses, especially when you talk about platforms
Yeah.
like Upgrad or an academy who have been giving a lot of help for the and they're doing exactly what we are talking. They're giving us specific degrees on a particular skill set, whether it is data sciences, whether it is an MBA, whether it is an executive MBA, whether it is a 6 months course of an MBA. So there are courses now that are 6 months long and come falling under MBA category. So what is something that you're looking at specifically with Telangana, keeping in mind promoting, because we all know that specifically in higher education, uh, the student comes across the country or in some universities across the world to attend, specifically when you're talking about OU, Osmania University, one of the biggest universities out of the country. So when there is a spectrum that has already been doing, a regular university has been operating like an online university for the last 2 years. So why can't this be a practice, throughout, wherein we have already seen that some universities had excelled with digital learning or distance learning courses, which were unfortunately pushed back. Uh, so what is it? Ca- Are you looking at whether we are going back to the system of a distance learning program coming back in the system again with this step?
Yeah, so we are doing a bunch of things, Sandeep, in Telangana. One of them you mentioned about Osmani University. So Osmani University is a university which is having a NAC score of 3.52. So it is among the top universities of the country, and is now authorized to give online degrees. So we are moving forward on that very, very rapidly to offer online degrees through this university, because it is a university which is now eligible to do that. The second thing what we are doing is that we have also created a few online courses in subjects wherein adequate teaching faculty, either adequate teaching faculty is not available in the colleges, or adequate number of students are not available to take that course to justify a teaching faculty. And these are courses like sociology, psychology, geography, public administration, mass communication, journalism, and mass communication. A bunch of topics which students want to study, but this college in which they're studying maybe not is not there in Hyderabad or some of the biggest places of the state and remote areas. And as I mentioned, faculties is either not available or students are not available to justify faculty. So there we have permitted them to take these particular subjects online in a conventional degree. Third, what we have doing is that we have country's oldest open university. In fact, this university came up before IGNOU also, Dr. B.R. Ambedkar Open University. In fact, it was a precursor of open education in India before it became national. And in that university, what we are trying to do is to transform the courses now into digital. And a lot of work has already happened during the pandemic, and a lot more is happening. And finally, in line with this digital thinking, we have also implementing this stipulation now of the UGC and the AICT, which is that up to 40% of your credits can be done online through the SWAYAM platform. And I think these bunch of things are giving a unique ecosystem, I would say, to various needs of the students. So online degrees or online content or online courses within our system, or online courses which are available on some of the public platforms. And I think this is a continuous process, and we are looking for more and more innovation as time passing.
Wonderful, sir. So the role of MOOCs have now again, these were the topics that we used to discuss back in 2000, I think, 14, 15, and we suddenly forgot about MOOCs, and and suddenly, as soon as the national education policies stepped in, and specifically with and generally when we are talking about digital education, and when we are talking about pandemic education, rather, if I go ahead and say this, where the education is happening in the pandemics, and so MOOCs have again become relevant. Do you think guest lecturers recording their sessions and using this as a platform? I think it should be becoming.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you. In fact, that is precisely what I was talking about. That the 40% of the credits today can be done through MOOCs, but the condition is today that no, this has to be on the SWAM platform. That is the condition of UGC and AICT. I hope that this condition is liberalized in terms of that I think it's time that we allow some of the international platform also, maybe let's say to the extent of, to begin with, let's say to 10 or 15% to begin with, and some of the Indian platforms also. In fact, I was talking to one of the companies, large IT companies of India, who have spent their CSR money in last 2 years to create a very rich digital content, and no, we are now offering it to our students, but as non-credit, because still it is not accepted as credit or allowed as credit content. And I think a lot of players are now talking to AICT and UGC to allow the available content to be credit courses. And I think once that is done, this will lead to a huge transformation in education in India.
Absolutely, sir. I think the education now is transforming at the speed of technology had transformed. When we're looking at the pace at which the technology has grown, I think the education is now looking at that kind of transformation speed. When we are looking at the kind of options that are now available for students, because some students don't even need a degree to start a startup. If I wanted to start Universal Mentors Association, I just needed connections. I did not need an MBA degree to start off with. So, having said that, the support is needed, but I think some technical courses are still required to have a physical feel. But I think the rest, we should definitely be looking at more options. Thank you so much, sir. It has always been a pleasure interacting with you, and I'm really glad that Telangana is doing so well under your guidance. Thank you so much for joining us for this amazing session. We hope to see you soon in another, hopefully the last of our, virtual events now. Let's do some physical activities as well, and we love to have you on our panels and in our events in the future as well. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Sandeep, and it's been a pleasure.
So moving on, as Naveen sir said, the transformation with digital education has been tremendous. The scope of it has been tremendous. Now, there is, where while we are talking about digital education, while we are talking about the complete transformation where the classes can go online, we're talking about MOOCs. So one other important factor that comes up in mind is the quality of the audio and video, specifically when you're talking about whether there is an echo, whether the students are able to listen to the lectures that are given properly or not, because they have to be in front of the laptops or maybe iPads or any other device. It has to be the quality of the audio for the understanding of the lecture is really becomes imperative. To throw a completely different light on how important it is for the quality of the audio and the video, and basically the delivery of the lecture, not only in online but physically also, how it is important. We To share that with us, we have Mr. Naresh Duble. He's the correct person to guide us and tell us how uh, how important and how important is the surroundings of a classroom is. And he has been, genuinely been there in the industry for the last 15-20 years, talking about to the education segment, talking about the quality of uh, the importance of quality of the sound ecosystem. We welcome Mr. Naresh Duble, who's the head of continuous improvement in marketing from Knopf Sealing Solutions, Knopf AMF, and Knopf Armstrong. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us. Thank you so much for supporting our initiative, Digital Education Summit and Awards. And we would now like to have your take on, the complete surround change in the education sector, especially with the pandemic coming in and now going out, how important it becomes for the students with all the social distancing norm to be followed in the classroom, uh, for the K-12, for the higher education, and how you're changing the lives of the students with your solutions as a part of as a part of the education ecosystem. Sir Naresh, sir, over to you.
Thank you for this opportunity and thank you for putting up this great event. And what I want to really continue where Mr. Naveen left in terms of change, which is at such a high pace over last decade. Whatever we have experienced, we have done it in the last 18 months or 24 months. So we are getting into metaverse, virtual experience. We're getting into connecting across geographies. We have panel discussions happening through the day with international schools, making sure that our universities are competing with global universities. We're doing more research out here and being a torchbearer for population, because we have a great double-digit percentage of universal student population in our country, and 30-40% of our young population is in education system. So what we do in this part of the world defines future of Earth. If I say that, that won't be an exaggeration. So what I'm going to speak about is sound and education. And this is about making education great. What we need to focus is about listening and speaking. And it's in the domain of common sense. But through our history, whatever we have done, whether it is online, e-learning, or a physical education, or going forward, hybrid education, our focus has been how good is a teacher, how good is a student, how good is a curriculum. But when they are meeting in the classroom or meeting in a place, or when they are interacting with each other, are we really focusing on, are they getting 100% of the words spoken for 100% of the students? Now, for the first time in last 2 years, both teachers and the students have experience being in the front bench and connected like we are connected now. So sound has been really great. There is no noise, no background noise. And it is boon for people who wanted to learn, could learn in our education system in that respect. Yes, I agree. There are a big percentage of student has missed out because of lack of resources. But when they are coming back, when we are coming to a flip education, when we are coming back to the hybrid mode, it will be very important that our buildings are ready as a center of excellence, adopting all things which we are talking in new education policy and transforming education at a grassroots level. So sound plays most important role now than ever before in the history of education across the globe, and certainly in India. And so as a group, we are very committed and passionate about it. So what I'm going to share with you is not knowledge. It is enough out there in www. It's understanding is the effort what we can get engaged into so that we build more awareness around what is happening in 21st century, and how when we develop more awareness, we have more choices being available for us. And these choices are at the source of innovation and change, which will finally prevail with respect to quality of education, with respect to outcome, with respect to research, with respect to the respect our students will get on a global platform. So awareness of best systems available in the world, adopting in our country will give us the route to have innovation and change in the way we do. We have a lot of potential. A lot of Indians are leading the global corporates. How can we make general people doing that work out here? And this is a case study of a Delhi school.
Joy of learning, which is in any form. It could be the sciences of the world, the maths of the world, or the languages of the world. If you want to make things interesting, then it's very, very important that whenever the process of teaching learning happens, the child enjoys it.
We have to basically see what are the effects of the ceiling within the room premises. So only prerequisites that we have to keep in mind is that while conducting this test is first we have to close all the doors and all the windows, as you can see in the video. So we are in the room which do not have any false ceiling, and we are conducting the reverberation time test for this room. So we are using the app known as the RT map that can be downloaded in Google App Store or Apple Play Store. So here we are conducting the reverberation time test, please.
So I will share this link. It's a beautiful case study of how Delhi government has transformed the education outcomes, and we've been happy to partner with them. We are working with Adivasi schools in MP, and it is really at the heart of if Sunega India to Padega India. So sending and receiving of information is critical, whether it is virtually done or whether it is done in the physical realm. Is at the heart of education quality, which we come here. And we'll dwell upon the new education policy and a national building code, which we have for India. Now, in a developed nations, nobody can start a school or a classroom or any sort of education unless they have certificates on sound. So our national building code has adopted a global standard, and this is done through a research by a lot of people contributing to it. It talks about 0.6 seconds as a reverberation time in our learning places, and 0.5 seconds where you have disadvantaged student, blind or deaf student sitting into the class. Any student, when they have cough and cold, has a disadvantage with respect to sound. Student learning in a second language, which is most of us in this country, we learn mostly in English, which is not our mother tongue. We have a big disadvantage if the reverberation is high. Now, what is reverberation time? It's a time required for sound to die by 60 decibel. Now, if you have a 2 seconds, which is very normal in our schools in India, of reverberation time in a class, if I say, hi, how are you? In 2 seconds or fast enough, when I say you, hi is still in the air. And it doesn't work for most of the kids because they are learning a foreign language, as I said, and there is an overlap between the word and within the word. So clarity of sound is absolutely essential to enhance the quality of education. And this needs to be really understood by entire education ecosystem, because we are working very hard to improve the G ratios and other outcomes. But what we are really struggling is the quality of our education. There is a huge cost with our teachers are paying across. And I remember one senior teacher in Goa telling me, look at my voice. And his voice is really gone, and it is not really easy for somebody to speak at 65, 70 decibel to be heard in a class. more than and you do only a couple of classes. So we are paying the salary for teacher to teach for, let's say, a 4 hours or a 6 classes or whatever number of classes he's supposed to take. But he is not effective equally after first or second class. Is really disadvantageous. So this is something which we need to really look into our education system, that do we have productivity? Do we have a health? Do we have an ecosystem ready to compete with the world and to make our students ready for that? And teachers are significantly losing a lot of health when they speak in a physical environment. They are very comfortable in digital world talking like this. We have a lot of content created in an e-learning platform, like we discussed in the beginning of the course. The best of the courses will be available for the students to learn from. So we don't have to really worry about delivering so much of theory in our class. But what we require going forward in the future of education is, do we have understanding of this subject? Do we really have awareness how this is going to work in our life? What is a real life implication of what we are learning? Otherwise, science or sine cos theta and all other subject which we learn in our school, we don't know real application of it. So there you require behavioral aspects far more than anything else. And if teacher has to really struggle communicating in our modern classrooms, which has projector, which has all the facilities, and sound is not working, it's not going to work to improve the quality outcome.
This room are coming as 4. Sounds unbelievable. I do not know whether it is correct or not.
Now, this is how 1.45 seconds of reverberant room sound.
1.58 actually, which is after the treatment that we are getting this.
1.5, which is for a very small room. If that is improved to 0.6 seconds, you see the world of difference, the way communication and interaction, which is going to be the heart of our learning process in new education policy, because a lot of students will leave our schools, they will get the real life experience, they will come back and they wanted to share so much. And if you have a very high decibel level and chaotic,
1.58
work. So
actually,
yeah,
which is after the treatment that we are getting this.
So this is some of the teachers' feedback when we implemented this in higher education, coaching classes, and as K-12.
When a teacher is teaching in the room where ceiling is installed, has to give lectures in a low pitch, and where the ceiling is not there, very high pitch they have to teach. Children sitting at the back were not able to concentrate, they were not able to hear the voice of the teachers who were not very loud, and we need to shout, and then the children used to get frustrated also that the teacher is always shouting all the time instead of getting a good rapport with the teacher, even though he or she was a good teacher. But here, when the teacher is able to talk properly, he or she can concentrate on the teaching, and throughout the day the teacher feels at the teaches at the same in the morning till the end of the day. Whereas where the ceiling is not installed, the teacher in the first and second sessions is very good while teaching, but when it comes to the end of the day, the teacher also gets frustrated, and then the lecture is not given properly.
My name is a lot of classes in a day, and it is very vital for me if I am speaking at a low pitch, and by the treatment that we had here back in Resonance, I could lower my volume while speaking. That would save a lot of energy throughout the day immensely to teach students more energetically. Plus the sound clarity also improved. Like in previous time I used to switch off either fans or something so that I may exert less energy while speaking, but now I'm very much comfortable with it, and I find it to be very useful. And the class environment, my temperament, my mood, everything goes very nicely, and I'm very much satisfied with it.
Sound is very important. So एक्चुअली आगे ये ज़्यादा इतना डेवलप नहीं हुआ, और ये एक हिडन फैक्टर है कि इस पर किसी ने कभी सोचा नहीं कि जो हम इंस्ट्रक्शन डिलीवर करते हैं वो स्टूडेंट के पास पहुंचता है कि नहीं. सो इससे ये जानने को मिला कि जो साउंड है वो क्लासरूम के अंदर एक इंटरनल अफेक्ट करता है. अगर उसको हम क्लियर कर पाए तो हमारी इंस्ट्रक्शन प्रॉपर लास्ट खास करके जो बैक बेंचर्स है वहाँ तक पहुँच सकती है। सो इसके लिए जो सर ने बताया कि हमको साउंड एब्जॉर्ब हो जाए ऐसी कोई सीलिंग लगानी चाहिए। सो प्रॉपर वेंटिलेशन भी होना चाहिए और में एक एरिया होना चाहिए कि जहाँ से साउंड की इंटेंसिटी कांस्टेंट तो नहीं बोल सकते, लेकिन इतनी होनी चाहिए कि जो बैक बेंचर से वो उसको सुन सके। फॉर एग्जांपल 30 एंड 13, अब मैं लास्ट बेंचर्स को बोलता हूँ 30, देन ही राइट 13, और अगर उसको बोला 30 बोला तो बोलेंगे 30। ओके, सो ये मेन डिफरेंस है। ये तो सिर्फ एक एग्जांपल हुआ, ऐसे कई ज़्यादा एग्जांपल्स हैं। ए ई आई वो इंग्लिश सब्जेक्ट है तो उसमें ए ई का इसमें ज़्यादा मिक्सिंग हो सकता है, बहुत सारे वर्ड्स है। सो इसको ठीक करना चाहिए। तो हम जितनी मेहनत मोटिवेशन में करते हैं, एजुकेशनल पर्पस में करते हैं, स्मार्ट क्लास लगाते हैं, कंसेप्ट क्लीन करते हैं, तो इस पर तो ज़्यादा खर्च भी नहीं है, तो इसको करना चाहिए, तो ये ज़्यादा इम्पैक्ट करेगा।
So these are some of the examples of Kendriya Vidyalaya schools.
Kendriya Vidyalaya, Sector 25, Rohini, Delhi. 30-seater classroom with a reverberation time of 2.63 seconds. Kendriya Vidyalaya, Sector 25, Rohini, Delhi. This is a primary school section. Kids learn the languages here with a reverberation time of 2.2 seconds. It is very difficult for them to learn the words properly.
So we can calculate what is the reverberation time using mathematical formulas for materials and things like that. It's a physical property, whether it is day or night, India or Europe, anywhere you go, you have this, every enclosed space has their own sound characteristics. And because we have very high background noise, this reverberant sound is not being heard in a running class. But mind you, this get added mathematically, logarithmically, to the original sound, and making entire school building in our country, is like is like a marketplace, very noisy, completely dysfunctional for any behavioral connection issues. And this is important issue we need to deal with. And when we improve this, the outcomes, the education outcomes improve dramatically. This is control group and a non-control group. The grade improves across for the students who are sitting into an acoustically treated room. And if you really see, we did this study across India, as I said, none of the schools were currently meeting the norms. You know why? Because none of the schools were really designed to meet sound parameters. So just a treating ceiling systems, putting acoustical ceilings could get reverberation time for the given space. It also affected the background noise level. So most of these schools were open door, open window, a lot of noise coming from outside. And like the first one is next to the railway station in Mahim, Mumbai. They have 10 dB reduction, 6 dB less is half the loud. So we need to understand sound parameters, and we can actually, you can put your name into the chat or into a question segment, and we will be happy to connect with you to do an audit in your school, to get this parameter really tested in your location and work with you to improve the outcomes for your building. It's always going to be every leading institute wanted to be better than anybody else. So, the creative man is motivated by desire to achieve, not by desire to beat others. And success and leadership is all about being better than your former self. So we need to be better than what we are doing currently in the way we are doing in a 360-degree view. So this awareness will really help you to transform education outcome for your institute. I will not take much time on a theory part. This is science, and you guys, the teachers and the educationalists, are the more very apt to understand sound. And from a physics teacher in your class, every doubling of the distance sound dying by 6 decibel. And most of the classrooms I've studied more than 500 education institute. After row 3 or row 4, 1 or 2 words out of 5 words spoken is missing. And then we say, Pratham is saying, we cannot read 5th standard book, girl cannot read 2nd standard book, or 7th standard boy cannot do 3rd standard mathematics. And I fail to understand why, because our kids are very intelligent, our teachers are very dedicated. I believe that. And and what is missing is the culture and the behavioral aspects in our schools. So the fan noise is another thing we need to be mindful about. Mechanical noises in our system. We can build our institute facing wall to the traffic or a noise direction. These are the simple measures can improve dramatically the outcome. The young ones are very disadvantaged because if the background noise is 1 dB less, like like I'm saying here. So if it is 1 dB less than the source of teacher's noise, he doesn't learn. But when we go older and we teenagers can work in 3 or 4 dB decibel disadvantage sound position. So we need to really understand the young ones are the major sufferer in our education system. It is as a source of research and development and thinking ability. In this country, we have produced good doctors, good engineers, good technical people, but this is a time to really transform the way we influence the thinking and behavior of our kids. We can orient our existing class differently, and that has a different world. You know, this is -7 dB in the last row when you long course with the same teacher, same student, same background noise. If we just orientation is changed, we have -1 decibel in the last week. This is the best way to have it, but not always possible. But going forward, we can adopt this, but still we require a voice clarity and a low RT as per National Building Code. So size, shape, and surface treatment, which is at the heart of the performance in any school. Global norm for background noise is 35 decibel. It is possible to achieve this in maybe the campus school or some of these school which has a very great location, boarding schools. City school will struggle to get down to that level, but 45 decibel is what we can really work, which is the norm here. Like I said, it's a different world. If you have 2 seconds of reverberation versus 0.5 seconds, I will not take much time. As I said, I would engage with you personally with our team, which is 50 strong across, and we would really help you if you want the help to really measure, and what get measured get delivered. These are apps on the mobile phone. Any of the app in this domain can work on your mobile phone. It's not the best scientifically calibrated instrument in your hand, but it can give you relative understanding for a large room and a small room premises. So there are a lot of case studies. This is a case study of Saraswati Mandir, which again I will share the link. We can have a lot of painting, colors, vibrancy included. This is in Tier 4 city in Jharkhand. The auditorium was printed with a world map, the light integration. So all those most in the new IITs and IIM we are working with, the light integration is done properly. Most of these leading institutes, Symbiosis and many other have taken this initiative to have acoustical treatment done for all classrooms. They will design the lecture hall, they will design the library, the cafeteria. Each has a different volume and need different treatment when it comes to designing the school ready for excellence, for performance, for productivity. And this is not just something to do to get the value. Yes, what we need to change is appearance and infrastructure, but more importantly, the experience of our students and the teacher, such that it is fit for purpose. It improves quality of our life, our health and well-being, our social behavior, and our productivity in our education systems. And then like we are ready to gear up to lead the world with such a large, motivated, dedicated force in our education system right now in this country. Yeah, so that's my message on this opening of these great sessions. We are going to have a few of the leaders coming in and sharing their mind fearlessly. And thank you for your gift of your time and attention for this session.
Thank you so much, sir, for this amazing presentation. I think it is, actually really imperative, and when you have raised few really important points, when you're talking about, whether the last person in the classroom is able to hear the voice, at the same decibel at what the front bencher in our layman terms is able to hear. So I think that becomes a really, really imperative, feature, specifically when we're talking about the infrastructural part. And now when we have to follow the COVID norms, where the social distancing will be a part of a regular classroom, where each student, there will be a gap of 6 feet between each student. So the noise and the echo, specifically when you're talking about delivering a lecture, it becomes the the sound, the echoes, decibel points might increase. So it is really an
So Sandeep, I
important.
just wanted to say something very critical here. Echo in the room is constant, whether you have one student or 100 students. What is difference is the background noise level camouflage the echo, and hence we don't experience it. But now when we are going to record the classes going on, we will experience this being captured by the camera and our recording system. So it will make it dysfunctional to have it. And the background noise level may not be so high because occupancy is low. We need to really work around this in our ecosystem.
Absolutely, sir. So,
More
so
important than any
I,
time.
I think the solution that you have provided, or ceiling solutions, are really doing a wonderful job. It's been an honor to have you join us, support us through our Digital Education Summit and Awards, and we'll be seeing you in a couple of more sessions that we have throughout the day and maybe throughout the event. We have one session tomorrow as well, so we'll get to know more about these details, in the later front as well. And we have close to around 600 odd people listening to you currently. So I hope the session, they would have also understood uh, the quality and what you're actually talking about, and it's important, and try to implement it in their education institutions as well. Now, moving on. Thank you so much, sir.
To make education institute as the best building in the city. Maybe the second best building. The first best building need to be the hospital. When your institute, I'm talking to those 600 leaders in this room right now, is the best building, then it can be used for multiple function. Otherwise, you have only 30% occupancy in a year. We can use this as an incubation center for our student. Our student can come back and use this facility to do a lot of research and thinking and collaborative work with industry. Industry can come and use your building as a center of excellence for their work and meeting, like a co-working spaces. Revenue is not a problem today. Resources are ample. Can we work together to make ourselves best in our own city?
Absolutely, sir. Thank you so much for that amazing piece of knowledge, and thank you for sharing it with us. Unfortunately, Dr. Biswajit Saha had to rush for an important meeting with the ministry. He had conveyed his best regards for the event, and since he had to rush, now we are moving towards Dr. Pramod Mahajan, who is the director principal of Sharjah Indian School. Let me just give you a brief about Dr. Pramod Mahajan. He's been, a pinnacle of, he's been a symbol of success for all the Indians back in the Middle East, and he has done some amazing work with some amazing education institutions in the past few years. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us for this amazing inaugural session of Digital Education Summit and Awards. And we would like to have your thoughts, specifically when we are talking about the international education and how COVID has impacted schools abroad, and how digital, now since everybody is back, how digital education is now going to be a part of the regular education system, when we are talking about the international schools, or the internet, or the schools that are present internationally. Let me put it this way.
Good morning. Namaste. Namaskaram. Salam alaikum. Yes, this pandemic, actually worldwide, everything was impacted. But it's become like a boon for the teaching learning process, for the schooling process. Because of this pandemic, we understood the importance of learning. It is far away from the five-star classrooms and air-conditioned buildings and whatever. Schools may be closed because of pandemic, but the schooling was going on. That's the biggest learning. And salute to our teachers that they did the wonders. Because of this pandemic, the students become a research-based learner, project-based learner, and independent learner. Because of this pandemic, the teachers now are not remain the sage on the stage or guide on the side, they become scaffolder. Now the students, when we say they are independent learner, they are experiential learner. The schools become learning hubs and center for doing experimentation. The parents understood that parental bossing doesn't work, but what works is spending time with your kids. So these are some learning outcomes from the pandemic. Coming to the digital learning or new normal, there is no second thought. Digital learning, digital aspects, techno savviness is the future and is the best available future. But at the same time, the traditional methods, the traditional teaching style provides the platform. On that platform, using the digital connects, digital concepts, and digitalization, we can jump very high in such a manner that even the sky is not the limit, but sky will be the just beginning. So that is the USP of this digital learning. Coming to the point, like Honorable Naveen sir has very nicely explained about the curriculum design as well as the assessment, assessment of learning, assessment for learning, assessment as learning. This digital world has improved the style of assessment, and nowadays assessment in learning has become very effective because of the digitalization. Assessment in learning, in that the students, the learners, are the backbone of the assessment process. They decide when they should be assessed, on what topic they should be assessed, in what way they should be assessed, and what should be the success criteria and the rubrics for their assessment. They frame their own assessment and they apply it, and they analyze their own outcomes, and then after that analyzing, they do review it, redesign it, and recreate it. So assessment in learning is the foremost, or we can say the modest new normal of assessment, and that is possible because of this digital world or this digital education. Now coming to the teaching approaches. Teaching approaches should be as per the student's perspective, and for that we have to understand what are the students' perspectives. They are the Z generation learner, they are the techno savvy people, they are the techno integrants. What is their perspective? Their understanding and span is 8 second to 50 second only. So in what way you are representing, what should be the quality of your video, what should be the quality of your picture, what should be the quality of the sound, that should be within that 8 to 50 second. Then only they can understand that thing or retain it for more time. Their retention span is 24 hours. Within that 24 hours, whatever they internalize will remain forever with them. So to make them internalize the concept within the 24 hours, knowing that their understanding span is 8 to 50 seconds, what sort of techniques has to be done? That is more important. So infographics, mind maps, nice way presentation to get connected with them, techniques to engage them more, techniques to involve them more. That is the student's perspective, and our teaching approaches should be in accordance with the student's perspective. No doubt they are the one who are liking, like they are the selfie takers. Selfies, they are very fond of taking the selfies, but still they are unselfish. They are the risk takers, but still they are entrepreneur. They are the one who are saving the money for what purpose? For spending it effectively. They are the one who are negotiating the things. They are the one who are connected socially. Their social connect is very high. Still they are unknown. Still they are alone. Connected, but still alone. So our teaching approaches should be in such a manner that to grab their loneliness, convert into their activeness, and engage them. For what purpose? To internalize the concept within 24 hours by understanding their understanding span, and that is the way the technical, or we can say the technology based education is helping them. But at the same time, we have to take care of that. Number one, they should explore the technology. They should embrace the technology instead of becoming the techno addict. They should leverage the machine. They should explore the machine learning, instead of becoming themselves machine. So if we keep them away to be becoming techno addict or machine themselves and connecting with them, future will be bright. So the technical education has to be taken care of in that manner. Taking into consideration the international schooling, or particularly schooling in Gulf or Middle East, things are going on in a better way. Now, hybrid classroom, flipped classroom, blended learning become a new normal, and no one wanted to go back to the normal. They are embracing, they are exploring those techniques, and trust me, even if everything become normal, this new normal will be rocking in the world. So these are my prima facie inputs. I am thankful to you all that you have given me a chance out of the way. I was not in a queue, but I like it, and thanks for that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for joining us. So with this, we conclude our first session of the day, the inaugural session. Please join us back at 11:50, and we'll have our first panel discussion. I think we have some stalwarts of education, in the specifically in the K-12 sector, would be talking, about the new normal, as Pramod sir had mentioned. So stay tuned and join us or for the first panel for today. Thank you so much, Naresh sir, Pramod sir, and Naveen Mittalji for joining us for this amazing session. Thank you so much to Dr. Biswajit Saha, who's the director CBSE, and Major Harsh Kumar for giving us best wishes for the event. Thank you so much. We'll see you very shortly at 11:50.